Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is a Breitling Navitimer, a classical Navitimer from the 2000s. The example in my hand was made in 2007 and in stainless steel. It measures 41.8 millimeters in diameter. It is in profile, 14.7 millimeters thick, 48 millimeters from lug tip to opposite lug tip, and it has a spacing of 22 millimeters between the lugs. In stainless steel, the watch has a nice heft to it. It feels like a luxury product. This wonderful Breitling mesh style, and I do emphasize mesh style rubber strap, is designed to, I believe, look like their Ocean Classic mesh bracelet. It is rubber, which makes it quite pliant, flexible, and comfortable. And the watch sits nicely on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. You can see over the top, which exaggerates the width of any watch. The lugs are still not out beyond my wrist, and when viewed down the barrel, which is the truest angle of incidence, if you're trying to decide whether a watch fits you, you can see I've got clearance. So this watch would wear just fine on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. It's not super thick, but it's not super thin. Jacket cuffs will clear it just fine, though the tightest of dress sleeves might struggle a bit. So you have a rubber strap designed to look like a mesh bracelet, unusual but attractive, a straight bar design that gives it a utilitarian 60s style aesthetic, some evacuations on the bottom that make it a little bit more flexible. You can see no crimping, no gouging, brand new Breitling factory strap, simple pin buckle. You can see it's got a symmetrical sort of counterweighted look to it, and it's got an elevated bridge, which simply means that if you stick the strap in, the strap actually slots into a evacuation, this overarching sort of bridge. That elevated bridge allows the strap to sit flat in the buckle rather than stacking up underneath and adding height. We have the Breitling wing logo with a combination of polish and media blast rolling around the case. Since about 1952, if you trust Breitling's narrative, the Navitimer has been a standard and probably the longest running chronograph in production. There were a few years when Breitling was not making it, but oddly Zinn was, so it can boast continuous production through the years since the 50s. The caseband is thin, the lugs are minimally beveled and squared off. It's a simple design with vintage-inspired pump pushers and no crown guard. The Navitimer case really does hew very closely to history. Now you can see there are little recesses in the flank of the case, probably easier to see from the bottom, that allow the strap to be very close hauled to the case without any impediment to its motion. The Navitimer bezel in the 50s was actually a more evolved version of Breitling's first circular slide rule calculator on the Chronomat from the early 1940s. The talk with the Navitimer was that you now had a calculator bezel, which is a logarithmic scale circular slide rule, capable of calculating all of the metrics necessary for flight. In the early days, it was produced in collaboration with the AOPA and sold to AOPA members through their member catalog. So it was really designed for aviation, not just the aviation aesthetic. Taking a look at how this thing works, I realize now I need to show every single time I share a Navitimer. If you are a navigator with a Navitimer, I need to show how it works because people always ask. So let's do something simple. Let's divide 40 by 20. You take the outer scale and you put it over the inner scale, just like a fraction. So I'm going to find 2. I'm going to put the 40 over the 20. Keep in mind you need to mind your decimals here. That could be 4,000 over 20. It could be 4,000 over 2,000. So we're just going to say 40 divided by 20. So you set up a fraction, number being divided over the number dividing it. Now you go to the inner scale index, which is this little red 10, and 40 divided by 20 is 2. Again, you got to keep your decimals in mind, but 40 divided by 20 is 2. Now let's say we want to perform a multiplication operation like 15 times 3. Well, now we take 15 and we put it over that inner index, the 10. Okay, so times 3, let's find a 3 on the dial. 15 times 3, there's the number right on top of the 3. 15 times 3 is 45, just like that. Now in terms of it being able to calculate metrics necessary for flight, you could see that we have kilometers, we have nautical miles, we have conversion factors on the back of the watch, for example, for temperature right there. So it's going to allow you to calculate things like fuel consumption, ground speed, drift, airspeed, rate of climb, time to empty, things like that. And so it is useful, and they do still teach pilots in training, especially in the military, how to use this. And in fact, you'll actually wind up being a little bit quicker calculating the tip at dinner than your friends with their smartphones once you get used to using this. It is not a complete slide rule. If you are an engineer, especially an older engineer, you probably remember those. This is just for multiplication and division, principally. We'll do a loom shot here. And you can see it's quite well loomed. We have a blue metallic sunburst dial with a balanced tri-register layout. Now, this is actually a Valshoe 7750 that's been turned 90 degrees. So the 7750 becomes what's called a 7753 with this balanced layout. While we still have the hacking seconds function, we do lose the quick set function. Normally a 7753 would have a pusher adjuster in the flank. This does not. So if you want to set the date, it's a very slow going process. And it's a bit more time consuming, but you can see the stop seconds function in action. Now we've got a combination of a cam-based function cycler and then a oscillating pinion lateral clutch. An oscillating pinion is a very compact lateral clutch with very, very little play. So there's not a lot of stagger or jump or extraneous motion to that chrono seconds hand when you start it up. It could almost deceive you into thinking it's a vertical clutch in that regard. It's 5-position adjusted. It's a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It's unidirectional winding, which is more efficient than bidirectional. And of course, the chronometer, certified 7753 with its 42-hour power reserve, is designated caliber 23 by Breitling. So you have A for steel, 23 for the caliber, 3 for a COSC chronometer, and then 22, I believe, is model specific. So that's a little bit of how you understand this. Although it does have a screwed-in case back, it's 30 meters water resistant, so there it is, 3 bars. You don't actually want to swim with this, so just keep that in mind. It is a sports watch, but for high flyers, not for deep divers. So if you love it, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.